morning. We're new around here, so I thought we'd introduce ourselves. I'm Jill.
I'm Terry.
And we're traveling around in our self-converted van, Tumbleweed.
Along with our dog, Tokai, who is a Hungarian, very spoiled puli.
This little monster right here is our puppy dog, Tokai. He's a Hungarian puli, and he might be the spoiledest pooch in the world.
We started out at a monastery near the border with Moldavia, and we traveled along down here to Galeti, crossed the beautiful Brela Bridge, and then traveled along the southern side of the Delta and the Danube through Tulcea and out to the lagoons themselves. Then we came back, continued south through the town of Constanta and off to the little border town of Vameveke, right by the Bulgarian border.
Good morning. I am outside of yet another monastery in the Bukovina area of Romania. It is, as you can see, yet another cold, foggy morning. When we got here last night, we were really glad to be here because we did a drive through the mountains in some of the densest fog I've ever seen. It was literally terrifying, basically. There were people in black walking on the road. There were cars parked in the middle of the road. There was somebody stopped talking to their friends. There were horse and wagon carts in a deep, deep fog. So it was quite an experience, and we were glad to arrive. Good evening. I was just sitting here kind of reflecting on my day. It was a very, very unique day. I thought it was one of those special days. It doesn't happen very often. So we got here. Here is a monastery. And we just parked up and crawled in bed and went, ugh. So we get up this morning and we're like, what shall we do? And the fog is still as thick as it was the night before. Except now you can see it, and it's like just a blanket of white covering the land. So we get up, it's Sunday morning this morning, we get up and everybody comes to church. I took a walk in the woods. There were ice on the little twigs and branches, and it was just a beautiful walk in the woods. And then we're kind of standing around, and Terry gets to talking to this guy. And he goes, oh, you should have been out there, because I couldn't really talk to him because, he speaks Italian, but I don't speak that much Italian. So we asked if we could get water because they had a faucet and we saw people getting water. So they said sure. And so we were up there by the faucet getting the tank full. And the guy came out again and we got to talking. And then we kept on filling the tank. And then about the time we were done, he comes out and he goes, would you like coffee? And we said, well, sure. Thank you very much. And so he brings out to us by the van coffee, and then he opens a box of unopened sweets and goes, here, have a sweet with your coffee. And we're like, oh, thank you. That's so kind. He goes, no, it's cold out here. Come inside. So we're invited into this room. It looks like a big dining facility. And there was a couple other monks sitting around, and one monk who turned out to be the head abbot or whatever you are when you're the head of a monastery. He called himself the boss. Anyway, he was talking to some people, and then we sat down and we drank our coffee and we ate the chocolate and just had a very, very interesting talk with this guy. He'd lived in Cremona as a kid, and that's why he could speak Italian. So anyway, then he tells us about, there's 2 churches here, and he tells us about both of them and how they got constructed. And he goes, come on, I want to show you our stone church. And so he took us into the church and he gave us a tour and a description of how they made it, and also what a lot of the symbology represents. For example, one thing that I didn't know, they reflected the years of the life of Jesus in the measurements of the church. From the front door to the iconostasis was 33 meters, and from the floor to the top of the lantern was also 33 meters. So little things like that he explained to us. And it was just interesting, and he was, open to questions. We asked him a lot of questions about orthodoxy and his life, and, what's it like to be a monk? And so we're getting ready to leave, and he goes, the same thing that happened at the other monastery. Oh, wait a minute. He comes out with these products, a fir syrup and a sea buckhorn syrup that had been made in the monastery, and honey, 2 giant peanut butter sized jars of honey. And we're like, no, we're in a van, we don't have that much storage space, so that's 5 years worth of honey there, dude. So anyway, he reluctantly takes back 1 jar of honey, but he said the capo, as he called him, his head, he likes honey because it makes you remember that life is sweet. Then Terry makes a run for it, and then he gave me an icon representing the Virgin Mary, and a particular representation of the Virgin Mary from Mount Athos in Greece. So the guy's name, the monk's name, was Sylvan, and I couldn't figure that out. And then finally he goes, Sylvan. And I went, oh, it's a poetic word for a very serene and peaceful, like I always associate it with the forest. The guy, he was interesting to talk to. He was a person that seemed very at peace with the choices that he'd made in his life, and just genuinely gracious and interested in talking to people, and he wasn't proselytizing or anything. He was just sharing his life, and it made for both Terry and I a very, very interesting day. This is the fir syrup that the monk gave us. It says syrup of Brad.
So let's give it a try and see what this stuff tastes like.
Yeah, I'm a little leery.
For you,
Wait.
and a little bit for me. Well, it's different. Not quite sure how to describe it. That is a weird taste, I have to say that.
I'm gonna give this a little sip. Kind of leery, I don't know, because it smells just like pine needles. Oh, it's like drinking a pine tree. But thick and syrupy and sweet too. Whoa. Let me give it another sip just to see. Yeah, tastes like a pine tree. So go out and chew on a pine tree if you want to know what this tastes like. Good morning. We're on the road again, and lucky for us, it's actually a partly sunny day. That has not happened in
Quite a while.
And we are off through the wilds of Romania to the Black Sea. So looking forward to seeing that body of water. The landscapes of Romania are surprisingly varied. Here, we're traveling through huge swaths of farmland, but we've also seen vast vineyards and forests. In the Marmaris and Bukovina areas, the Carpathian mountains and foothills were stunning, sometimes draped in fog, other times radiant under a warming sun. We're traveling south to the delta of the Danube, a wetland, bird sanctuary, and lagoon ecosystem, then onto the Bulgarian border. Two large rivers, the Danube and the Dnieper, drain into the Black Sea, not all that far from each other. We've wanted to see the delta of the Danube ever since we biked along its shores in Germany. But then I think we imagined we'd see the delta by bicycle. A lot has changed since the first time we came to Romania in 2001. Then the roads were crowded with everything from horse-drawn wagons to luxury cars from Germany. Priority definitely went to the most expensive vehicle. Now the roads are much better, seem less crowded, and traffic rules mostly obeyed. The Brela Bridge, spanning the Danube, is fairly new, inaugurated in the summer of 2023. At almost 2 kilometers, it's the longest bridge in Romania and currently the third largest suspension bridge in Europe. It was funded by the EU at a cost of around €500 million and built by a Japanese-Italian consortium. I love bridges, and this one is very graceful and reminds me of the Golden Gate Bridge, except it isn't red. The farmlands of the Delta region are very fertile, as you'd imagine. Here we are in beautiful downtown Tulcea, Romania. A little bit better than the very industrial outskirts. Good morning. We parked up along the Danube. We're in the Delta region of the Danube in Romania, and we're putzing along the riverbank for a little bit. There are picturesque fishing villages scattered in the delta, earning a living from the lagoons and the Black Sea itself. But now it looks like most of them earn much more money from tourism than the sea. The bird life in the lagoons is varied and rich despite the presence of industrial facilities upstream. There are both resident and migrating species of birds. I love these old wells, relics of another time. Good morning. We're getting ready to leave the Danube Delta. It's been a nice place, but it's cold. It's something I always look forward to seeing, and I have to say, it was a Delta. But hey, you never know. We enjoy sharing our adventures with you, so thank you for following along. If you're enjoying them, please give us a like and subscribe down below. We're leaving the area of the Danube Delta and heading south to the Black Sea coast itself. This ship, the Evangelia, built in the same shipyard as the Titanic, ran aground in October of 1968 in relatively calm seas, they said. Oddly, it's become a tourist attraction for the city of Constanța.
There were rumors that it was intentionally run aground for insurance fraud, but nothing was ever proven. This big port is in the town of Tumei on the Romanian Black Sea. We arrived at our stop for the evening, the beach at Vame Vecche, and it made the Puli dog very, very happy.
Good morning. I'm on the Black Sea coast on the beach at a very, very off-season beach town right by the border with Bulgaria. And it's lovely to be on the beach, but it's been quite cold. In fact, yesterday, we spent a couple nights here. Yesterday, when we woke up, there was snow all over. But it looked so cold, I didn't jump out and take a picture. Today, we are headed off to Bulgaria on our way to Turkey. Coming up on the Romanian-Bulgarian border, but since about a year ago, I think, it's been in the Schengen, so should be no internal border controls. But they do want you driving through the weird little things. I assume they're x-raying your car. It's so nice not to have to stop here. Oh, we're in the no man's land, the duty-free, the former duty-free land right now. We are heading to Bulgaria.